We believe in order to be successful on and off the field, you have to make good decisions. That includes me. That starts with me. Hold up. Did Mike Vrabel just admit something went down? Because 2 weeks ago, this man called the whole situation laughable. Now he's standing at a podium talking about difficult conversations with his family. Nah, something changed. And we're about to break down every single word he said, what he didn't say, and why the Patriots tried to kill this story before it ever went public. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this story took a turn nobody saw coming. Let's get into it. What's good, everybody? It's your boy back with another one. Now, if this is your first time catching this story, I'm going to give you the quick version, but I highly recommend you go back and watch parts 1 through 4 because this thing has layers. Here's what you need to know. 2 weeks ago, Page 6 published photos of Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots, at a luxury resort in Sedona, Arizona with Diana Rousini. Diana Rousini was a senior NFL insider for The Athletic. She'd been pushing the A.J. Brown to the Patriots trade story all off-season long. When those photos dropped, both Vrabel and Rousini said they were there with a group of 6 friends. Sounded innocent enough, right? Except 3 witnesses at the resort contradicted that story and said it was just the 2 of them, alone. At a resort that literally markets itself as a romantic getaway for couples, things got messy. We found out Rousini and Vrabel coordinated their statements before talking to the press. Rousini hired a crisis communications expert on Easter Sunday. When the New York Times, which owns The Athletic, asked her to provide proof she was there with a group of 6, she couldn't do it. And then she resigned. But here's the thing. Resigning didn't make it go away because The Athletic is still investigating her past coverage to see if her personal relationship with Vrabel influenced her reporting. That's where we left off. Now, Mike Vrabel just stepped to the podium for the first time since this whole thing started, and what he said is completely different from what he told us 2 weeks ago. Every sentence matters, so let me walk you through this. This happened yesterday at the Patriots facility in Foxborough. It was the second day of the team's voluntary off-season program. According to the Boston Sports Hub, Vrabel gave a prepared statement that lasted nearly 3 minutes. He didn't take questions during the statement, but reporters did get some follow-ups off camera afterwards. Here's how he opened it up. He said, "Let me first begin by saying thank you. Thank you for your patience that you've shown in a personal and private matter for me and obviously everybody involved. I know that's not easy for you, and I respect that, and I appreciate your efforts in doing so." Now stop right there. 2 weeks ago, Vrabel's statement to Page 6 was 1 sentence. He called the photos a completely innocent interaction and said any suggestion otherwise was laughable. He said it didn't deserve any further response. That was it. Yesterday, his first sentence thanked reporters for their patience in what he's now calling a personal and private matter. You see the switch. Laughable to personal and private. That's not the same energy at all. This is a man who got coached. I'm not talking football coached. I'm talking media crisis team coached. You can tell somebody sat him down and said, "Mike, we need to change the approach here, because calling something laughable and then 2 weeks later calling it a deeply personal matter, those are 2 completely different postures." Then Vrabel explained why he waited 2 weeks to say anything. He said, "I understand I could have addressed you guys sooner, but it was important to me to have a conversation with the players, which I did yesterday very candidly as we began our off-season program." So he talked to the players first on Monday, before he talked to the media. That's a significant detail because the locker room was always going to be the real pressure point. Vrabel can dodge reporters all day, but he cannot dodge the guys he's about to coach in September. Those players needed to hear from him directly, and he knew it. Then came the line that changes everything. Vrabel said, "With that being said, I've had some difficult conversations with people that I care about. With my family, the organization, the coaches, the players. Those have been positive and productive. We believe in order to be successful on and off the field, you have to make good decisions. That includes me. That starts with me." Let me put these 2 statements side by side for you, because the contrast is the whole point. April 7th to Page 6. These photos show a completely innocent interaction, and any suggestion otherwise is laughable. This doesn't deserve any further response. April 21st at the podium. "I've had some difficult conversations with people that I care about. With my family. We have to make good decisions." That includes me. That starts with me. Those statements do not match. You don't go from laughable to difficult conversations with your family in 14 days over something that was completely innocent. You do not stand at a podium and say that starts with me, which is accountability language. If you still believe nothing happened that requires accountability, something changed between April 7th and April 21st, and whatever changed was significant enough to make a two-time Coach of the Year stand in front of reporters looking like a man who's been through it. Vrabel closed his statement by saying, "What I can promise you is that the family, this organization, the team, the staff, the coaches, everybody, our fans most importantly, will get the best version of me going forward. The best version of me going forward." That's a phrase you use when the previous version of you was causing problems. That's recovery language. That's post-mistake language. The fact that Vrabel, a man who called this entire situation laughable 2 weeks ago, is now speaking in the language of personal accountability tells you the private version of this story is way worse than the public version. After the prepared statement, reporters got some questions in. The way Vrabel handled them is just as telling as the statement itself. A reporter asked him directly about Diana Rousini's resignation. His answer: "I respect and I appreciate every single question, but I'm not going to be able to comment on anything as it relates to that. I appreciate your job and what you guys have got to do, but I have to make my comments about our football team." So Vrabel took accountability for his own decisions in the prepared statement. But the second a reporter asked about the other person in those photos, the person who actually lost their job, he put up a wall. He refused to say her name during the entire press conference. He refused to address her resignation. When asked about his original laughable quote from 2 weeks ago, his response was, "I appreciate the question. I'm going to focus on our football team. I think I've addressed what I felt like was important." He was also asked if his players had any questions when he addressed them yesterday. He said, "I've had conversations and questions. Yeah, I've addressed that and talked to them. I tell them all the time, we have to speak for ourselves." And when asked about his relationship with Robert Kraft and team ownership, he said, "We'll keep those between us. Here's the picture." Vrabel will take personal accountability. He'll say it starts with him. He'll admit to difficult conversations. But he will not address Diana Rousini by name. He will not address his original statement. And he will not discuss his relationship with ownership. There are walls around the three most important parts of this story, and Mike Vrabel has no intention of letting anyone past them. He gave the media just enough to seem accountable without actually answering anything that matters. Now here's the piece that dropped on Monday that nobody's connecting to Vrabel's press conference. And it's the piece that tells you why Vrabel said, "We'll keep those between us," when asked about Robert Kraft, according to a report from In Touch that was picked up by Yahoo Sports and Pro Football Talk. The New England Patriots, specifically Robert Kraft, tried to stop the New York Post from publishing the photos before the story ever went live. Here's what we know. The Post gave Vrabel a longer window to respond than what's considered standard industry practice. Publications usually give you 24, maybe 48 hours before they run a story. The Post apparently gave Mike Vrabel more than that, and what did Kraft do with that extra time? According to the report, Kraft took advantage of that extended time frame to put pressure on the reporter and the newspaper. And then this part right here. A notorious crisis strategist made the call, but was unsuccessful in neutering the story. So now we have the full picture of the crisis management operation, and it's bigger than anything we've covered before. We already knew from Part 4 that Rousini hired a crisis communications expert on Easter Sunday. Now we know the Patriots also deployed a crisis strategist, a separate person, to pressure the Post directly to crisis managers. One hired by the reporter, one deployed by the team owner. Both of them failed. Mike Florio connected this back to the ESPN reporting we covered in the last video. According to ESPN's earlier piece, the Post was reportedly open to changing the tone of the story, or even not running it at all if Rousini and Vrabel could provide compelling evidence to back up their statements about being there with a group of friends. They just couldn't, and neither could Robert Kraft's crisis strategist. So the Post ran the story anyway. Think about the scale of what this represents. The owner of the New England Patriots, one of the most powerful men in American sports, a man with a personal net worth of over $8 billion, could not stop a tabloid from publishing photos of his head coach at a resort. He tried. He put money, pressure, and a professional crisis operation behind it. And it didn't work. Page 6 ran the story on April 7th. 14 days later, a reporter has resigned. A head coach is standing at a podium admitting to difficult conversations with his family. And the entire NFL is still talking about it. That's power that failed. And the failure tells you something about how serious those photos were perceived to be by the people closest to this situation. Robert Kraft didn't try to kill the story out of an abundance of caution. He tried to kill it because he knew what it looked like. One more detail dropped in the last 24 hours that rounds out the institutional protection picture here. According to USA Today, the NFL itself has confirmed that Mike Vrabel is not under investigation for any violation of the league's personal conduct policy. NFL spokesman Brian McCarthy confirmed it on the record on Monday. So let me stack this up for you. The Athletic investigated Rousini. The New York Times investigated Rousini. The Athletic's own staff reportedly pushed back against the initial defense of Diana Rousini. Diana Rousini resigned. The Athletic's investigation into her coverage is continuing even after her departure, but on Mike Vrabel's side. The New England Patriots are not investigating him. The NFL is not investigating him. He's still the head coach. He's still preparing for the NFL draft on Thursday. He's still going to be in a war room picking first-round talent within 24 hours. He gave a 3-minute statement on Tuesday, took accountability in general terms, refused to answer any specific questions, then went back to work. Diana Rousini lost her career over this. Mike Vrabel just had a bad 2 weeks. That's the asymmetry I've been talking about since part 3. It is now the final confirmed outcome of this story. Two people, same photos, same resort, same weekend. One of them is unemployed. The other one is still coaching in the NFL. Now I know you guys don't trust me on this part because it seems like in every single one of these videos I say, okay, I think the story's near its conclusion, but I actually think this story has reached its end. At least for now. Mike Vrabel spoke today. He's not going to speak about this again. He said what he said. He put up walls around everything else. The Patriots and the NFL have both confirmed they're not investigating him unless something truly unexpected happens. A new batch of photos, a named witness going public. Something from the Athletic's continuing investigation. The Vrabel side of this story is effectively over. He survived it. He took the hit. He gave the presser. And he's moving on. There are 2 triggers out there that could still produce one more video. One is the Athletic's continuing investigation into Rousini's coverage. They told their own staff the review would continue even after she resigned. If that review produces findings about her A.J. Brown reporting, her Patriots coverage, or her relationship with Mike Vrabel, especially anything that confirms her reporting was influenced by the personal relationship, that's a story worth telling. But that could take weeks, and it could never become public at all. 2 is the A.J. Brown trade window. June 1st, the dead cap deadline. Whatever happens with A.J. Brown on or around that date is the last remaining thread of this series because it's the thread that connects the personal story to the football story. If Brown goes to New England, every word Rousini wrote about that trade gets looked at one more time. If he doesn't, the question of why she was pushing the story dies with the deadline. Outside of those 2 triggers, I think this is the natural resting point of this series. We made 5 videos on this topic in the past 2 weeks. It started with page 6 photos, moved to coordinated statements, then a crisis playbook, then a resignation, and now a press conference where laughable became "This all starts with me." This channel was ahead of every single step of it. I want to say something directly to the people who've been here since part 1. Thank you. This series started as one video about photos at a resort, and it turned into a 5-part look at how the NFL's insider economy actually works, how institutions protect the powerful and sacrifice the expendable, and how the people in the same situation can end up in completely different places based on nothing more than which industry they work in. That's a bigger story than a hot tub in Sedona. And the only reason it got told is because this audience showed up every time, liked the video, and pushed it into spaces where it typically wouldn't have shown up. If there's a part 6, it'll be because something new broke. Not because I'm stretching this for views. I'd rather end a series 1 video early than 1 video late. And right now, after today's presser, this feels like the right place to pause. If you haven't liked this video yet, make sure you do that now. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button because we've got more content coming your way real soon. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you believe Vrabel's statement? Do you think there's more to this story? I want to hear from you. Until the next one, I'm out.